What's going on, fellow humans and resellers? It is I, James, reductionagency.com, urban-picker.com. 24 years selling full-time on eBay as of next month. And I realized something as I am going through this journey on what kind of reselling content can I make. And I realized as I'm kind of got some videos playing in the background, perspective is probably the most unutilized thing on YouTube when it comes to resellers. Maybe it's, not everybody pays attention to, or maybe not addresses. So I wanted to address my perspective on a couple of topics. So I am going to, in a non-negative way, do this because I'm going to include content from other videos when I do these. So that means I'm going to have videos playing more often, and then just maybe give perspectives from somebody who's been doing it 23 years. And not saying it's right or wrong, it's just another way to look at something, so that maybe there's a road that somebody can go down that maybe they didn't prior see, and it can help them in the long run. So today I was just playing Flippin' Ain't Easy, John's video, and I'll let him say what he's saying and what I have a perspective on. And like I said, no way is either right or wrong. It's more about just if somebody doesn't see something that may be there just from a different perspective, but maybe you do see it and you just choose the other, which is fine. It's just about putting different perspectives out there. So again, when I do these, it's not going to be in any kind of disrespectful way. It's just going to be more from perspective-based and maybe even a fact-based type of a thing connected to that perspective, and nothing more. We're here to help people. Any of us resellers who are putting content out, at the end of the day, just want to share our experience and help somebody, right? So that's all this is. So I will put Flippin' Ain't Easy's link below this video, so make sure you subscribe to his channel. But I'll let him say what he's going to say here. Hopefully it'll be a good crossover, because I got my subwoofers kind of got some stuff on it right now, and it's popping, being he's in a car. So I know it gives a little bit of an extra noise to my, like my video this morning had some extra noise because my car was running. So hopefully it'll come through properly. But let's let John speak, and then I will give a perspective on that, and hopefully it'll help somebody.
Problem that a lot of people are going to have, and I've talked about this before. It is, okay, you have a faster way to list now.
Just easier.
Where are you getting your merchandise? Now, I think this is going to open the door up for a lot of people to cheat. And
I don't like the word cheat, because in business, you're only cheating if you do somebody wrong, right? So I wouldn't call this cheating. I would just call it him sticking to his business plan, which ain't really cheating. It's just staying the course, if you will. That's probably a better phrase. Instead of saying cheating, staying the course of what he wants.
I make a point when I'm building my stores not to cheat. What is cheating? Cheating is, I have a $77 now ASP. For me, it's important to maintain a high ASP. That's just part of my model. So
again, his model. So it's not really cheating. He just wants to stick with his business model, correct? So cheating's kind of a negative look on it. So don't look at it as negative, because there's no harm in tweaking a business plan, right? There's no harm in that. So I wouldn't give it a negative connotation per se. It's just a business model and the way you want to run your business.
Well, if I am starting to want to build that store, build the number of items in that store, maintaining the same ASP or higher, then that means that I cannot have lower ASP items introduced to my store. Now, $77 simply an average. It's not a requirement. So I know that I'm going to have, sometimes I'll have three, four, five, six, 700, sometimes $1,000 item in that store, and I'm going to have a 30, 40, 50, $60 item also in that store. It all averages out with the price of the item plus shipping to be $77 right now is my average.
So I kind of stopped it here because the light bulbs went off in my head. $77 is the average. What is the time connected to that average? That matters within a business plan and a business structure. Like I said, this is not about necessarily him changing his business. It's about if somebody has this business, here's another perspective. How much time do you have in those $77 items? Meaning, how much time does it cost to source, to list, and to ship, right? So you add that in the equation when you're making the decision on average, your sell through rate, or your not your rate, but your price. Because the time is what a lot of people don't see. If you can't see it, a lot of people, it's out of sight, out of mind. You got to make sure you include that time. That's where, like, how I do things with the volume comes into play. The most of my volume is quick list, 2 pictures, and quick ship straight into a mailer. Done. Right? So the time it takes to do that. So my question would be, if you have a $77 average, right, with the time it took to source, list, and ship that item, how would that $77 item add up to, say, $10 quick list, quick ship items, right? Or let's just say 8 for $80. So if I had 8 $10 items of mine that's this camera that sold, say they were CDs, right? It would take me all of probably 15 minutes to list it, to pull it, to ship it. 15 minutes. Now, does it take 15 minutes for each of those items, those $77 items? Would it take 15 minutes to list that, to pull that, to ship that? If yes, then perfect. It's like an even style of match. Of course, you got to get into other details, like if you think, sell through rate matters with the eBay and et cetera and stuff like that, the things that sit around, things like that. That's going to matter into your equation if you care about that kind of stuff. Me, I don't personally. But if that $77 item is taking you 30 minutes, well, I could do $140, $160. I could double that in the same amount of time. You see what I'm saying here? So you got to include the time it takes for those bigger dollar items. And I'm only basing this based on the type of, items that John sells, which is pallet items and things like that, which I know take a longer time to get ready, to list, and definitely to ship, right? So if I could do double the value in the same amount of time, then where would you, as a reseller, where would you stand? So is it worth it for you? See, I like to use the term foundation items, not bread and butter. Foundation items is an item you can get over and over and over again. That's quick to list, quick to ship, even if you have a separate store for those items. It's an item that is going to pick up the slack when you're having, say, a bad day selling your $77 items. You're going to have something that's a consistent sale throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the month. That's why, for me, I use hats in the one store and I use CDs in the other store. Those are my foundation items. Those items I can get in abundance. I list them quick. I can ship them quick. And I know they're going to make me a certain amount of money every month, every year. So, what am I saying here? I'm just saying keep your mind open to um, not being so dead set on a certain path. You have a business plan, yes, but there's no harm in tweaking business plans to take advantage of the time period we're in, right? Like now, you wouldn't be going for vintage shirts as much as you would have because the markets just fell out of them. You're getting maybe 10% of what you were 2 years ago. You know, at $80 shirt, you're going to be getting $8 for now, and that's just because those kids have moved on from that stuff. So tweaking an idea like that is just part of a business plan. It's part of staying in business. You know, if Kmart and Sears would have tweaked their business model somehow, if Best Buy would have tweaked their business model somehow, they'd still be more relevant today, right? So thinking one way, only thinking one way, how about that? It can be detrimental to you in the long term, especially if you want to be around for 20 years, 23 years, 24 years. You will have to change, pivot, and do some tweaking within that time period, 100% without a doubt, or you're just going to reach a peak and stay stagnant, right? If you don't, supersize it, get employees, change your source of product, change some of your product, whatever the case may be. If you don't change something, you're just going to hit a ceiling, right? So this is just a different perspective to maybe break out of a ceiling that you may be in. So that's all that is. And he makes another point here too, which I want to address because I see several people talking about it. And again, this is going to bring up another name, but I don't want to. I'm only bringing it up because it seems like it's having a negative effect on the community. So I believe he says it right after this.
So cheating would be for me to go in and find a bunch of $20 items in bulk, because you probably can find a lot of items at yard sales that will fetch you $20, no problem.
Again, then you'd have to weigh in the time it would take to list them and the time it would ship them. That matters. Would it be worth it if you could list it and ship it both within 2 minutes time? For me, my answer would be hell yeah. Because then you can do 3, you can do 4, and make that $77, right? Kind of like the volume I do, where it's not about the piece, it's about trying to get people to buy bulk, to buy 4 at a time, buy 8 at a time.
And adding all those items to my store and then watching my ASP fall. That's not what I want to do. Also, what I don't want to do is I don't want to put myself in a situation where there's an MC11 like Big Al. Now, Big Al, I don't think he dealt with, he used an AI lister, but he.
So there's a lot going on with Big Al and his suspensions from eBay. I don't know what's going on there per se, but I'll say this. I think we need to get away from using him as an example of why not to do something in this matter. I went through one of his videos, his channels, and he either said it or it was on, I think he said it on one of his videos. I can't remember if it was a thumbnail or if he said it, but I think he said it. I think he's been suspended, the MC, off of eBay 11, this would be 12 times. So suspended off of eBay 12 times. Now, you got to ask yourself, is that an eBay issue? Or is that something you're doing wrong? I've been doing this 25 years. Here I go into another year already. 24 years. Knock on wood, I've never been suspended on eBay. I never got an MC whatever. Because I made sure I did do everything perfectly. Now, is it different across the seas? I don't know. Another point he makes is it's because he sold more than he normally does. I don't see that as, I could be wrong with AI, but people are seeing that as the red flag that's causing suspensions. That's not what causes suspensions. Causing suspensions is if you can't keep up with your sales and your numbers start to falter. That's when you start having eBay come down on you. Not because you're listing more and you're selling more, it's because you're not prepared for that and you're falling behind as a seller.
He listed so intensely that he built his store up to where he was selling like a lot more merchandise than eBay was used to.
See, I don't see that as the answer. I see it that maybe he couldn't keep up because the one video he posted today, it again went back to shipping. So if something within shipping is getting him suspended, that tells me that's the problem area, right? Now, is that him? Is that eBay? Is it a mix of both? Well, I'm not here to decide that factor. My point is, if it happens to one person 12 times, you didn't build up more than, sell more than eBay thinks you should sell 12 times. Not in my perspective, right? So I think people need to, when things, the one bad thing about the eBay community on YouTube is things spread like wildfire, and misinformation can spread just as fast as positive. And like I said, I'm not saying this was misinformation. I'm just saying maybe all the information has not been given properly, or we haven't been able to see all the information, right? And like I said, no offense against Big Al or anything, but if you've been suspended, 12 times from eBay, there's got to be something more to the equation. There has to be. I've been doing this 24 years without anything other than some viral issues. And those, again, were my fault at the end of the day. If I couldn't get them fixed because of the AI's fault, then they were my fault. But I have not noticed me ramping up my store, anything like that as of yet, knock on wood. You will be the first to know if I do, and then I'll eat some of my words here, right? But until then, I have not seen nothing that would indicate that. I've already listed 3 times more in 1 month than I did before. My sales have gone up a little bit. They're not going to go up 3 times right out of the gate like that, obviously. But everything's rising. And I'm still keeping up. All my numbers are still proper. I'm still top rated. I still ship everything on time. All my numbers are spot on. The trouble comes is if you get in over your head and you can't keep up. That's when the trouble starts. So I'm just saying there might be more to the equation than what we're seeing. So stop freaking out about it. Stop letting things freak you. Stop letting other resellers freak you out about it. Just do your thing, right?
And he got some trouble because not so much that he sold more, but it caused a red flag when he had a higher amount of item not received cases.
And see, there's another thing too. Item not received. Like, how does that go up? I mean, is the post office that crappy over there that they're causing all of these suspensions over the years? I guess it's possible. But that's not a reason for you to fear if your store always is good on that front. If you have no problems with your items not being received, I'm in the US. I'm not going to compare my postal service with what he has to deal with over there, right? So if it is the postal service problem, that's over there. Where are you? That shouldn't affect you because you don't have a history of that being an issue, right? You see what I'm saying? So
was a red flag to the system thinking something was wrong.
Well, there would be something wrong. It's not that it's thinking it's wrong, but if you get all these open item not received cases, there's a reason for that. So there is something wrong. There is something broken there from the seller to something between the seller and the customer. Something's broken there, right? There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. It's just where does the problems lie and how can you fix it?
So I want to grow at a steady pace. I don't necessarily need AI to build my 300 item store into a 2,000 item store overnight.
Yeah. So I'm just going to stop there because I think that kind of just fills in exactly the little points that I wanted to get across. Just different perspective. Again, that's including your time within your equation of your sell through prices because time matters. Time is a part of it. And then also when it comes to seeing somebody else, a lot of, you'll see YouTubers who make videos about being suspended or getting zeroed and what have you. There's always a reason for it. And that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen to you. Because if it's, if the people are being honest and want to teach, they're going to give you all the X, Y, and Z reasons why it happened and give you all the A, B, and C details that got them to that point, right? Just as I've done on my Veros, and I showed you what it was, how I handled it, who I emailed to get it fixed, etc., etc. And the ones that I took responsibility for because, whoops, I screwed up, right? So again, there's always a bigger issue. It's not necessarily the top of the sandwich issue. It's not the fact that, he listed more and sold more. It's there was a breakdown in the shipping somewhere. Either he couldn't keep up or the post office lost a lot. But if you remember back a few Christmases ago, the USPS here was having that issue where just things were not getting delivered promptly, delivered on time. And even with my volume, my numbers dropped, but it didn't drop to a dangerous level of, oh crap, this is going to get me suspended. So there's something else that is going on over there as opposed to what is going on with you and where you are. So just keep that in mind. Don't be scared when people are having negative things happen to them. There's always other reasons why. And then also include your time in with your payments, with your money, because time is money. Thanks, everybody. I'll see you all in the next video. Later.